Facebook, good morning. It is our Monday morning update. I've just finished a session with my room members. We've been discussing in detail all of our possible trades. So I thought I would get this video out to you now so we can have a little look at some of the trades that are running along with looking at the main indices, see what's been going on. So we shall start with our oil trade. All right, so we'll start with our oil trade. I'm going to move this up to a daily chart so you can see a little bit more detail here. So last week I was telling you about the first half of this trade that I closed out. So I was showing you a little bit about the risk management on this and how you can close the trade out, or essentially decrease your risk per trade but increase your profitability with risk to reward. So first half of that trade was an entry here, stop here, trades run up, we sneaked to 2-to-1, so we hit the pre-designated target, got the 2-to-1. And then what you will see is for the last few days, we've really just been sitting very, very sideways on this one. So we haven't had a lot happen. Then we had a little bit of a down day on Friday. So with this trade, what's happening is I'm trading a stop subject to price moving up. So what you'll notice here is the red line is just showing where my stop is. So my stop is at the original entry. So this is a guaranteed no lose trade. So I already banked 3% on this. And as you'll see, I'm still running the other half. So for this trade, for me to secure any more profit, I've got to get just above the 54 mark. So price has got to push on just a little bit from where it reached the high. It's got to go a little bit higher. And then I'll be able to trail my stop up. So I'll be able to lock in the equivalent of, well, what the equivalent there would be, it'll be equivalent of 1.5%. Then if we keep going, I'll be able to trail the stop on a ratio of 2, trail the stop, trail the stop, trail the stop, and lock more in. But again, I don't know what's going to happen on this. So I know the only thing I know for sure on this second half of the trade is a guaranteed no lose. So it's a banked 3%, and then the rest is all up for grabs. So you can see we had a little bit of a downward day on Friday. We've reacted to the 5 high just here, and at the moment the price is just hovering around that level. So if I just go to oil, you'll see that there, the price is hovering. So we got a lower high and then a sell-off on Friday. There was a little bit of divergence there between those two highs. There wasn't an exact double top, but you can see on Friday a little bit of a sell-off. But again, we'll see. So at the moment, I don't expect, and this is really important, I was saying this in the room, I don't expect price, if I'm in a trade and I'm going to get a run, I don't expect price just to run up the whole way. After all, pullbacks are often what we need to get into trades. So even if we do have a nice run on this and we get up towards the $60 a barrel mark on the futures, there will be intraday moves down when that happens. It's unlikely that it's just going to do a straight run up. So I've had a bit of a pullback here. As I've said, if we get above the 54.03 I'm looking for, then I can move my stop up on that one. Other trades we're in at the moment, I'll just switch to my other account on MT4. So we'll just switch to there. And then what I'll do is I'll pull up our Euro Yen trade. So you'll be able to see this. You can see it actually running in here, but I will pull it up on the screen so you can just see this happening. So I'll just whiz Euro Yen into the middle screen here and move that out. So similar scenario here. Okay, so this short trade, you can see the target further down. This is a 3-to-1 target, so a different risk to reward ratio on this trade. I'm looking for a 3-to-1 target here. The stop was above these prior highs. This was the entry short at this point here. You can see we're just over about 2.3 to 1. So once we reach 2 to 1 on this trade, again, I was able to bring my stop down to the entry. So again, this is a no lose trade, but as yet we're not at the target. This still has a fair distance to go. So again, I know for certain this is going to be a break-even trade. I don't know whether it's going to be that or hit my target. So I know I can't lose anything. Let me just say it that way. I know guaranteed no lose on this trade, but I don't know whether it's going to end up going back up and all the way up to break even, or whether it's going to go down and meet my target. We were discussing in the room today different ways that you can optimize that, but as this trade goes, that's where we are. So oil, I'm still running long. as my monthly position strategy. Euro yen is the only trade that I'm currently in, and I'm in that short. We do have quite a few possibles at the moment. One of our possibles is actually a Euro Aussie trade long, but that hasn't set up yet. It's come down to the 219 lows, so we're looking at a Euro Aussie trade long. And we've got a couple of other positions, a New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar short trade, but that hasn't set up yet. We're looking for price to pull back from where it is here. It can afford to go lower, but we're looking for price, even if it goes lower, to pull back into this area here for a potential short. So Euro Aussie long, New Zealand dollar CAD short are our two top trades. So we'll come away from trades and go and have a little bit of a look at the main indices, see what's going on. We've had a look at oil. We know where we are there. Let's go and have a look at the S&P. Start with that. So again, the S&P, if we go up to the weekly chart, it's clean air all the way here. We had a downward week last week, a little bit of a sell-off. It's Martin Luther King Day today, so the markets are closed, but we have had a nice little pullback down towards the 21 moving average. Some of our traders are looking to see what today's candle does for some possible long trades. So for me, I would only consider long trades from where we are. I wouldn't consider short trades in here because we're not coming off of a resistance. So I'll only go against the trend if I'm coming off a resistance or off a support. And then I'll wait for the specific criteria to occur. So there'd be no short trades for me until I was below this trend line, and I could have to adjust the trend line just slightly here, but essentially below the trend line. And what I would be looking for is, if I get rid of that line here, I'd be looking to be below that previous resistance that got broken. So I would only consider short trades in this area. The momentum is up, moving averages are all in confluence, so I'd be looking for more longs in and around this area here. If we drop below that level, I'm not going to suddenly short that market. I'm going to do nothing in what I would call this no man's land just here. Above here for longs from where we are, or further moves up, and below that trend line, and a decent move below that trend line for shorts on the S&P. Nasdaq, very similar. You can see the trend line here. You've almost got an interim trend line that you could add in. Some of our intraday traders will have a trend line in here, and you'll see if I draw that in, because this higher low did create a higher high. So some of our intraday traders will be looking at the Nasdaq closely because we're at that sort of interim trend line just there. But it's the same idea with the Nasdaq. It's pulled back down to its 21 moving average. It's the same principle here. I'd be looking for moves up either here or in this area here. So I would be bullish if price was to give us some slightly more short-term direction here, but I wouldn't immediately short until we were below the trend line and below those previous highs. And again, same for Nasdaq. There's no man's land in here. So it's longs from where we are, not shorts. I'd have to be lower for any short consideration over the short term there. DAX is hugging. If I get rid of that line just here and I'll go to the DAX, where are we there? So DAX, slightly steeper trend line. It's hugging that. It did break below it last week, but it's pushing back up here. So again, price would need to, bearing in mind where the last higher low is, just there, price would need to come further down, possibly react to the 50, and then we could look for some short potential in there. Be a little bit wary of a long here because you are hovering around those previous highs, and it's just in a bit of indecision here, right by that trend line. But if it pushed up a little bit and then came back up, we could be looking for more alongside like that. So indices, whether it's the DAX, the Nasdaq, the Dow, any of these, back hovering around their daily 21s. So some of them are offering potential long trades there. Silver and gold been very sideways here. You can see not really making a lot of really not making a much of a move. You've got higher highs just here, a couple of higher highs, but they're not really doing a lot. If I go down to the weekly chart, you can see very indecisive. If you look at it from the weekly chart, lower highs, support there, higher low. So again, if we were to push up and take these highs out for a second time, or take these highs out for a first time and get closer to here, I'd be looking towards these highs. So that's silver there. Let me pull gold up. Gold, similar scenario. Look, it's got the two lows very close by, hugging that 50 moving average. So we came down, reacted to that level there. We came up, didn't get the new high. hit that, and then have come down and reacted to the 50 again. So at the moment, not really making any clear move when you look at it from a weekly perspective. Obviously, there could be some intraday opportunities on a reaction to that high and possibly the reaction to the 50, but again, pretty sideways, and you can see that there on the daily. So not really committing there. If we go and have a little look at euro US dollar, see what that's been up to. We were talking about this in the room. Again, was making clear highs here. Little bit of divergence on the MACD, not huge, but a little bit. And we came down to the 21. Didn't get a positive close, didn't react there, and we've rolled over and we're now at the 50. Next step for that is the trend line and the weekly 21. So a little bit of a sell-off there on euro. If we go and have a look at US dollar yen, you can see we've got a couple of trend lines here. We were doing a little bit of a training session in the room about the difference in terms of these trend lines and why both of these lines, if you look at them over the right time frame, could be considered valid. But really, for any long trades here, we would want price to push on. So it doesn't really matter whether you took that trend line or that trend line, because we don't trade specifically off trend lines. We will trade more off of moving averages if we're trading with the trend. But in terms of a break, in terms of a change of direction, we'd want price to prove itself first anyway. So could be some short opportunities for our intraday traders. There is still a little bit of a gap between these lows and the next area of support. It's not huge, but there is a bit there. But if we were to break those two trend line examples there, push up, come into this zone here, we could be looking for some long trades on US dollar yen. So that is about it. My Bitcoin charts are on a delay at the moment, so they're a day behind. But yeah, we're putting in a little bit of indecision here. So Bitcoin had that little bit of a sell-off. We got up to the $40,000 mark, peaked a little bit higher, sold off back down. You can see here to the daily 21, came back up, but didn't retest the highs and have come back down again. So you can see it's just, again, not making its mind up here. Lower highs, higher lows. Price is getting tighter. We'll have to see what that does. So yeah, that's it for me. I will be back during the week with some other videos, some other insights. As I've said, we're looking at Euro Aussie for a potential long, hasn't set up yet, and New Zealand dollar CAD for a potential short. I'll keep you updated with the oil trade and the Euro Yen trade, and I will be back in touch again with you very soon.